Blog Talk Radio.
He's back.
The irritated genie of Southeast. Every black person should know and understand what they're putting in their minds when they listen to radio, watch television, and go to the movies.
The children of Southampton present Entertainment, Fighting the Poltergeist, Saturday, July 10th, 2010, featuring the irritated genie of Southeast at the Shanghai City Cultural Center, 3117 Master Street, Philadelphia, PA. Classes start at 12 noon. Class 1, the history of entertainment, what it is and how it works. Class 2 starts at 3 p.m., deciphering plots and themes. Class 3 starts at 6 p.m., The Matrix Made Easy, reading the true messages in what you see. Come on out, black family, to the Shanghai City Cultural Center, 3117 Master Street, Philadelphia, PA, on Saturday, July 10, 2010, to hear Entertainment, Fighting the Poltergeist, featuring the irritated genie of Southeast. This is a free event for the entire black family. For more information, contact 888-817-3235. That's 888-817-3235.
The most impotent creature in the form of a person on this planet is a black male. Period. No matter where on the planet they are. The most powerless person is a black male. The most powerless person on the planet in the form of a person is a black male person.
The second annual Nat Turner Day Weekend Celebration 2010, The Resurrection of Haiti, Friday, August 20th to Sunday, August 22nd, at the Church of the Advocate, 1801 West Diamond Street, Philadelphia, PA, sponsored by the Children of Southampton.
Okay, I actually had a
The second annual Nat Turner Day Weekend Celebration 2010, The Resurrection of Haiti, Friday, August 20th to Sunday, August 22nd, at the Church of the Advocate, 1801 West Diamond Street, Philadelphia, PA, sponsored by the Children of Southampton, featuring Umar Abdullah Johnson, the irritated genie of Southeast, Sister Nefertari, Mary Moot Nzinga, the Universal African Dance and Drum Ensemble, the Lest We Forget Black Holocaust Slave Museum, and a special feature, the Nat Turner Day African Insurrection Musical with Brothers Keeper, the African Marketplace, and much, much more. The cost for the entire weekend, $50 for black adults, $25 for black students and children under 12, and $25.
All righty. We should be good to go. Thank you, everybody. Context of White Supremacy. Black male. Had some issues getting started, but we should be all good to go.
Double whammy.
Thank you. Thank you all. I hope the broadcast will be constructive. Before we get started, I did want to let folks know, as this is Sunday, June 27th, this is the first of two broadcasts. The second broadcast will be this evening. It'll be airing late program. It'll be airing at 2 a.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. Central, and 11 p.m. Pacific. This will be about all of the gayness on the past 2 episodes of the Boondocks. If you're on the West Coast, this program is going to be airing about 30 minutes before the Boondocks airs live on the Cartoon Network. And the only reason I'm doing it a little bit early is because I know it's kind of late, and a lot of people, they have the plantation to go to tomorrow, so I'm trying to make it a little bit earlier. If you would like to see tonight's episode before the live broadcast at 11 p.m. Pacific, shoot me an email at untiljustice@gmail.com, because the Boondocks tends to be online way before it airs on television on the West Coast. I can't speak for the folks on the East Coast. I don't know if you have that luxury, but if you're on the West Coast, it tends to be available about 2 hours, sometimes even earlier than that, before it actually airs on television. So if you shoot me an email, I can shoot you a link, or if you are net savvy, you can search, and I'm sure you can find it. The name of tonight's episode is Date with the Booty Warrior. At any rate, if you're net savvy, I'm sure you can find it. It's generally on YouTube about I don't know, by 10 p.m. Pacific. It's generally on YouTube if you're really lazy and you don't want to search. At any rate, today's broadcast, I am proud. I guess it took about a year to come back and get the male side. Last summer, we did female victims of white supremacy, and it was a real treat to have a wide array of different females, black and non-black victims of racism, share their views and perspectives, and thought it would be balanced and correct to offer the same platform for males, and specifically for black males. I know several folks had commented about it had been just enjoyable to hear black males on the program of late sharing personal stories about how they have been victimized and mistreated. And also I think people had even shared that they have had problems and obstacles, black males sharing with other black males, talking about racism, white supremacy, talking about their own victimization, or just trying to have constructive dialogue, that has been difficult. And I wanted to make an effort to model exactly what it says in the description: courteous, constructive, honest dialogue between black male victims of racism, white supremacy. I will take calls this program, but I'm going to do the same thing we did when it was female victims of racism. If females want to call and participate, I'm only going to do that like the last 15 minutes of the program. I want the broadcast to be black males getting an opportunity to share any concerns that they have. I'm going to go to the phone line right now and just sit and be quiet, much like I did for the female program. Just kind of sit, be quiet. And any of the males that are participating, feel free, if you would like me to share comments, since I am a black male, if you would like me to share comments, or if you have questions for me, or if you want my my view on a certain topic, feel free. I have no problem sharing. Just I want to kind of open the floor up for folks to share their views. So I'm going to go right down the line and see if we have black males. I believe this is Non-Mightywick. Is this Non-Mightywick on the line?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Outstanding. That's one. Mr. Nero, is that you?
Yes, I'm here, Gus.
Outstanding. I don't know who this person is. Last 4 digits, 2564. 2564. Person at 2564, are you just listening? Which is fine. 2564, are you just listening?
I'm on the line, Gus.
Okay. Are you on the line to participate in the discussion, or are you just listening, 2564?
I'm just listening for now, but I will join in.
Okay. Do you want me to leave your line open, or do you want to be muted?
I can mute it myself. That's fine. Thank you, though.
Okay. Groovy. You're a black male?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Groovy. Okay, I'm going to leave your line open then. This is a blocked number. I'm not sure who this person is calling from a blocked number.
Hello?
Gotcha. 909. And I got one other person at a blocked number. Other person calling in from a blocked number. Are you there, or are you just listening? Okay, I will assume the other person is just listening. If the other person calling from a blocked number, if you want to chat, press 1 if you are a black male. I'm going to get back of the bus, and I just had somebody else, person who called in last 4 digits, 0406, 0406. Are you there?
How you doing, Brother Gus?
I'm well, sir. I'm well. Good to hear from you. I'm going to get back of the bus on the line, and then I will sit, and you all can feel free to push the discussion wherever you would like to go. I'm going to see if I can get back of the bus to join us as well. Okay, back of the bus is with us as well. So we should have Mr. Nero, back of the bus, 909. I don't know the gentleman who called in 0406. I don't recognize the voice, and the gentleman at 2564. I don't recognize the voice. You can announce how if you just want to be addressed by last 4 digits, that's fine. Or if you have a specific title you want to be addressed by, please let us know. But in addition to those two, Mr. Nero, 909, Non-Mighty Wick, and back of the bus all should be with us. Thank you all for joining. Wonderful to have so many black males.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. By the way, just call me Avery if you could, sir.
Did you say Avery, sir?
Yes, sir. This is me.
Okay. Groovy. If you could speak up a little bit, Avery, that would be helpful. Thank you, sir.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Much better. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
I guess I'll push off unless somebody has something they want to get off. If they do, I'll be quiet. If not, I have a push off question and we can go from there. Does anybody have anything they would like to begin with? Okay. My push off was going to be as black males, I guess, how did you all get started being interested in studying racism, white supremacy? Okay. I'll check that. Back of the bus is having some audio issues. I'll see if we can help correct that. Yeah, because I'm not hearing you back of the bus. I'm not sure what's happening on your end with your mic or anything. I can even try recalling you if that will help correct the problem. But I was going to ask for other folks while I work to see if we can get back of the bus in. How did you all get started with racism, white supremacy in terms of studying it and getting comfortable enough to speak openly on a forum like this? Or I don't know what else you all do in your daily activities, but how did you get started studying, focusing on racism, white supremacy?
Hello?
Hello?
Can I be heard? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm not there too. Go ahead.
The way I got started was mainly reading the autobiography of Malcolm X. That had a lot to do with me starting to think of white supremacy and the things that went around all over the world. That was the first time I started thinking about it in a worldwide sense. And that got me into reading more books, more history, and it just flowed from there. Anyone else?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, see, how can I put this? As a matter of fact, what got me started, I started reading Message to the Black Man by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and it basically just kind of helped me out how the history of the white races, and I mean there's so much dialogue, I just can't name them all, so that's what got me started. After that, I read the Axis papers. Basically, just gave me a heads up of how the symbolizer about the the sports field is, and I'm like I said, it's a lot of information there. So basically, there's more information I could tell you about. I'm still trying to get my head together on the discussion. So please bear with me. But those are I would say more of the two things. Also the code, I would say also.
Hello, can I be heard?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
we can hear you.
This is Mr. Nero out of California. Growing up in California, you pretty much grow up oblivious to the system of racism and white supremacy. At least that's been my observation. It's not really it's not talked about at all in family discussions, and the MO for the most part is that everything is over. So how I got started was actually one of Gus's critics, one of his critics on Blog Talk, sent me a Neely Fuller disc of one of his lectures, and maybe she sent me 2 or 3, because I think I had challenged one of her notions about racism, and she challenged the fact that I didn't know who Neely Fuller was or who Dr. Welsing was, and so she sent me some audio information, and I began to listen to it. And of course, I was a little skeptical at first, but everything he was saying in the lecture that I was listening to just seemed to ring true. And I was trying to disprove it, and I really couldn't. And I must have listened to those first 3 discs that she sent me. I must have listened to those things for about 100 hours, trying to find holes in some of the things that he was saying, and following his instructions when he was saying, well, run a test if you don't believe me, And I would run a test, and I would come back with, the same conclusions he was coming back with. And so, eventually I just came to the logical conclusion that we live under a system dominated by white people that practice racism and white supremacy.
I will have to totally agree on that. As a matter of fact, another thing that got me started too, when I was on let's see, how can I put it? I was on it was a site called panafrican.tv, and I wasn't too familiar with Dr. Neely Fuller at that time, but when I heard the I think it was like 3 small lectures. One was based on victims of white supremacy, and when I heard it, that kind of really helped me think about what kind of system we're under. So then and there, from there I had checked out counterracism.org when I got familiar with a little bit of Ed Williams and George Wickett, and I guess just looking at the site, there was a video, and it was entitled called let's see, yeah, of course. I guess Mr. Ed Williams was running a counter-racism project on the streets. I don't know what area it was. I guess he asked 2 white people how much money would it require to be turned to a black person forever. And so I guess the first dude, he got kind of uncomfortable with the question, and so that was kind of the discussion right there. I kind of just knew that, honestly, he wouldn't change if he wanted to. That's what actually got me involved with countering racism. As I'm still learning now, I know I'm still novice to it, but I'm always eager to learn. So that's my plea.
Hello.
I think one of the first, things that pushed me to focus more on racism and white supremacy from the standpoint of understanding it as a system was shout out to CQ, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, catching some of his videos on YouTube and whatnot. Kind of the same way Mr. Nero was talking about. I know when I was growing up, I've learned from talking to my parents that there was a concerted effort to push me and my siblings to hang around, interact with white people, and I think it was under the context of, that's better than not interacting with them because, you know, racism is a thing of the past or whatever else, because I guess my grandparents or their parents, you know, my parents' parents, did try to make an effort to say, hey, racism is a problem, you know, white people got issues or whatever else. So it was growing up, it was no connection to, you know, white people are a problem or nothing like that. But, yeah, since you helped to correct some of that understanding. And, yeah.
909. Sorry, I was just going to say 909, feel free. Since you might be joining us in about 20 minutes, that was part of my holdup. I was trying to get him on the line. He might be hopping in on the discussion as well in a few minutes. But yeah, 909, feel free.
Who was I just talking? Not you, Gus. The person before you.
It could have been me. No, I'm Mighty Wake.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't recognize your voice. Yeah. This is 909. I was born and raised in L.A. And my grandparents on my father's side, they identified themselves as native. I'm like the 5th generation in L.A. So, yeah, they were talking about white people all the time. So, yeah, they put that suspicion in me from an early age. So I was always thinking about it, these issues, and always had a kind of suspicion of white people. But I actually heard Dr. Welsing on the radio out here. Pacifica has a LA station called KPFK, and they did African Mental Weekend, where from like 11 to 6 in the morning, they were running episodes with different black scholars talking and stuff. And one of the episodes was an interview with Dr. Welsing, and it was pretty impactful. And so, yeah, we had a black bookstore, went, bought her book and read her book and really identified with it, what she was saying. And I do subscribe to her definition of racism, white supremacy. And, yeah, that's how I first started studying from her work. I had an uncle that was a Muslim, and he kind of helped also because I got into the Message to the Black Man, How to Eat to Live, literature. And, yeah, when I was growing up, he was actually the uncle kind of looked at as crazy. He was the one that, the black, this is on my mother's side, the uncle that was, kind of stay away from him. He didn't, but he was always talking about race issues and the white man and he was he was strong. One thing about growing up in L.A., it's kind of like survival of the fittest, and the strong survive and the weaker meet, basically. So he was impressive. He was a strong guy. So I listened to what he said. I didn't understand what he was saying, when I was younger, but yeah, we had the white Jesus on the Bible, and he asked one day, like, why you got that white Jesus on the Bible? And, I never forgot that. So, yep, that's just a little introduction to it.
You know what, that is kind of interesting. Because, at the same time, when I was growing up, my parents and my folks never mentioned anything about racism and whatnot. If I did, then my parents, I guess half my family would be so defensive of them because, for one thing, they had so-called quote-unquote white friends. So, whenever anybody will speak out against white people, I mean, either my uncles, my aunts, or some of my brothers, sisters or whatnot, they kind of speak up against them. So at the same time, they're kind of defensive for white folks, I guess. I guess only people they kind of impacted on their lives, and then of course, from the Reverend King. So basically, anytime we get into little small discussions about white people or whatnot, they kind of just say, "Oh, be quiet," Martin Luther King fought for civil rights, and otherwise you won't be here in this condition now. I mean, didn't you hear that I have a dream speech and da 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 da? And it was like, dang, I mean, yeah, the dream was there, but we're still being mistreated. So what I did was every time I try to talk to my my younger generation, my brother and my sisters, they kind of just brush it off. And then at the same time, they come to me talking about quote unquote hating on white people. And of course, you know how we are. I got some white friends. They love me just as much as I love you. And I kind of thought about that. Okay, yeah, they love you all right, but at the same time, you're still being mistreated. So where is the love at? It was just kind of interesting though. But even outside of my family is I mean, they run through the experiences and whatnot. They have a a piece of the pie. But at the same time, when I hear it's like, hey, you're still being mistreated, mentally and physically. So when I try to confront them about it, it's like, me being a young age, I was, of course, listening to Malcolm, and then when I tell them about it, it's like, it ain't all about that no more. We're in different times, the world's getting along now. Ain't nobody telling nobody. So it's like they just kind of cover my mouth with that and be like, don't talk about it, don't talk about it, don't talk about it. If you do, you're offending us, because I got white friends and you're offending them. So if you offend them, that means you're offending me too.
Yeah. Speaking of my uncle, it was mainly the women, and that didn't really agree with him. But all of the males, they admired him because he was known for, putting it down. It was no problem for him to, get physical and he was strong. But I would like to say, as far as the 9 areas of people activity, I mean, religion. Well, just as far as topics or whatever, I would categorize, religion, because he was in the Nation of Islam, and I was just hoping. Well, I was just thinking as far as topics, because I'm willing to. I was just thinking about that guy Sonny. He inspired me to want to do an episode like this because, growing up in LA or whatever, it's like it's crazy. It's like a twisted Lord of the Flies. It's like you're in a race where you don't necessarily have to win, but just beat the person next to you. You know what I'm saying? And
yes, I do agree.
I never really talked about it, but when I heard Sonny come on the show, so I just wanted to say shouts out to Sonny because I would have never even thought to, express some of this stuff. So yeah, I'm willing to talk about whatever.
Okay. Yeah. Before I continue, get my shout out. Sir, what is your name?
Who, me?
Yes, sir.
909.
Oh, 909. I'm Avery. I'm 0406. In case I don't want to call you no wrong names, but this is Avery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I must say I want to give some shout outs to, of course, C.O.W.S. And I mentioned you mentioned C.O.W.S. on YouTube. And as a matter of fact, this person sent me the code. And shout out to Creed 7 and Sonny as well. I remember they had did a show on sexism and white supremacy, and basically just listen to their experiences, it was kind of like a deep reflection of mine, because I mean, at a certain point, you know, I had this friend. I guess he was living with the white female, and am I calling in? 909. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hey, have you ever called in to the show before?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I did call in the show. That's when since he was on the show. This is like my second time calling in. So, like I say, I'm still novice. I'm still just trying to get, you know, the feel of it. So, I mean, I've always wanted to be part of the show, just listen to Blog Talk Radio or whatnot. So I'm glad that I had this opportunity to be part of the show. So, you know, have you?
Yeah, I participate in the show a lot. You know, I told Gus, you know, I participate for my own reasons. But I was just going to say, as far as sometimes you'll hear like a pause between, when you hear a pause, we give each other like at least, you know, 3-4 seconds to just see if somebody wants to comment, because sometimes you'll hear like dead air and it'll make you want to just jump in. But we do give ourselves about 3 to 4 seconds to see if anybody, you know, has some thoughts or whatever. So just wanted to put that out.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
since you were...
no problem. Okay, go ahead.
What were you saying, though?
Oh, yeah, I had this friend, and he was living with a white female. And so basically he was just telling me his experience about this white female and whatnot. And, see, how can I mean, basically he was just having problems with this white female. So he was living with her, and at the same time, by the way, he was telling me how this white female was doing them, you know. I guess she had gave him a curfew. So the whole curfew was, be home when I get off of work. If you do, I mean, if you don't, you're going to hear from me. And so when he told me the experience, I didn't know how to react to it. That's when I sent Q a message on YouTube. And basically what he said was, I mean, just go back to what, you know, he was on the show not so long ago about belly woman. That kind of just rung a bell, because basically what he was doing, he was belly woman her. I guess he was just woman the belly to her. I mean, eventually, you know, she was, of course, you know, she was working, but she had two offspring, non-white offspring eventually, but they wasn't his though. So, you know, I guess that, you know, since she has the money and the power, she pretty much can do and say whatever she wants to. Now that you know, a friend of mine was in his household. So basically, I guess he didn't realize he was being mistreated. But then after the email, I give him my opinion to what he just kind of just took it. Like here again, I guess he got offended because he's like, well, she ain't all about that, you know. If she did it, she's doing it because she loves me. She's doing it because she don't want to see me get hurt out in the street. And it's like, dang, I mean, look. Every time you go out, you got to be home at a certain hour. And it's like, dang, I mean, you got to be home at a certain hour. That's it. Don't you think she's giving you a curfew? At the same time, you know, he just kind of brushed it off like, okay, well, you know, it's cool now. So when the time when she kicked him out, on behalf, I guess one day she had brought her ex-boyfriend / baby's father to the house, and what basically she just wanted to see a fight. You know, some sort of let's see who the best man wins subject. So, you know, the kid's father, which was, I believe, he was a mulatto, but he looked at more. I couldn't tell. I mean, just how he was telling me how he was describing to me and whatnot. He looked at more white. So what the dude did, he kept following him around the house, asking, "Hey, homie, you need some help? Hey, homie, you need some help? Hey, homie, you need some help?" And so at that time, he just kind of got to the point where, you know what, look, I'm tired of this. I'm getting out of here. So what happened was the standoff was he had called the taxi. And excuse me. So when the taxi came, I guess she had put a big old scene. I guess she couldn't, affect the fact that she couldn't see him walk out on her like that. And so what she did, she made a big old scene, threw her stuff around the garage, she broke the DVD player, the taxi driver eventually called the police. But she then, made that scene. So when the police came, I mean, like, it was just ridiculous. Just how he was telling it. So he left, and as she was leaving, she was, screaming, thank you for ruining my life, and all that stuff like that. But now, if I was that position, I would have left, no matter what happened. See, it's like when they can't get you, that's when they get violent, and that's what they do. So that's my assessment. So go ahead.
This is Mr. Nero. Once again, before I go any further, the one thing I want to do right now, while we're still kind of relatively early in the broadcast, is to remind people who listen to this show, the cows, that they can either listen online, obviously, on the internet, or they can call in, or they can download the show in MP3 format and listen on the go as I do. I have found the shows to be extremely constructive, and I ask that people donate to the cows every chance they get, as much and as often as they possibly can. I feel that this is a beacon of hope for a lot of people who are confused and who are actually oblivious to the fact that we live in a system of racism and white supremacy, and we need to do everything we possibly can, as much as you possibly can, to keep this show on the air and keep guests coming on the show that provide excellent information in regards to what the system is and how it works. And I want to be clear that we're talking about a system of people. It's not as some people, I've heard people use the term, what do they call it, infrastructural racism, and all these abstract terms to describe what people are doing, institutional racism. We're talking about people, male and female, flesh and blood, who make this thing work. So just wanted to get that in. Once again, please, Mr. Renegade will hopefully remind everybody of the location that they can go to and hit the donate button, and hopefully they will do that immediately.
Hello, Mr. Nero.
Yes, sir.
For clarity, I just want to ask: Do you use racism and white supremacy as synonyms, or do you see those as different?
For me, it's a synonym.
Okay, thank you.
Back of the bus should be with us, and I wanted to check because somebody else dialed the last 4 digits, 3967. 3967, are you there?
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, loud and clear.
Oh, okay, good.
You want to be referenced as 3967, or?
Just call me Brother J, it's cool.
Brother J, gotcha. You're on, and Back of the Bus is on as well.
Okay.
Greetings, Brother J.
Hey, greetings. Well, let me go ahead and start off talking about this subject, white supremacy. When I got like 17, 18 years old, I started, paying attention to a lot of stuff that kids my age at the time, wasn't paying attention to or didn't care about. Like, you know, I just saw that my side of town, well, I stay in San Antonio, Texas. I stay on the east side of town that was formerly the black side of town. And from 17 on up, I just really, you know, saw that conditions wasn't really improving in the community. And I used to talk to my parents about it. And my dad, you know, he used to tell me a lot of stuff. And I always notice when I go to the north side, all the developments and all this and that. So the older I got, the more I start to understand, you know, why certain communities get ignored and, you know, what's really going on, stuff like that. And you know, this is a good show because one thing I also want to talk about was, like I remember Gus had a guest who was a black lady who was on with a white man, and she defended him, and another woman who wrote a book about black women in interracial relationships. And it just made me think because, be honest with you, our women hate us. Not all, maybe, but most of them. I think some of them do because, you know, the white man has power and they see the black man as powerless and they don't see us doing anything. But it's every man for himself because majority of black men are not going to do nothing, let alone pick up any guns. But that's all I got to say for right now, so go ahead. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I was just about to say something, but I forgot what I was about to say. So please bear with me.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't think any of us would condone. Let me put it this way: I don't think it is the correct thing to do for black people to pick up guns, or black males to pick up guns and try to take action.
Right.
I do believe that would be the incorrect thing to do. However, I am certainly all for black males learning how to operate and maintain not just firearms but other survival tactics in case of a flood like we saw in New Orleans with Katrina, or an earthquake, or some other catastrophe that may just kind of throw things into a chaotic state. And so I'm all for having, for black males and females and children, having some form of training to help them better cope with some form of an emergency that could happen at any place, at any time, and in some cases with very little notice, and you know, with an earthquake with no notice at all. So I'm all for us learning, you know, how to do things. But at the same time, you know, I'm for us being smart, and I feel that this problem gets solved by outthinking your opponent.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, me too.
Outthink the opponent. You know what? As a matter of fact, I'm glad you mentioned that, Brother Neil. Just kind of, I don't know if you all are not a fan of kung fu movies, but this kind of goes back to the dialogue of Enter the Dragon. I guess the beginning of Enter the Dragon. I guess the Shaolin monk has Bruce Lee. I don't know what the question was, but he was like, I don't know, da 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 da, and then Bruce Lee was like, to have no opponent, or something like that. I kind of thought right there, just go back to Neil saying you got to outbeat the opponent. I guess I would say, you know, just by playing chess. But you know what? Wait a minute. Let me go back. I don't know if you all like I say, y'all know you all familiar with Enter the Dragon. But did you all see the part? Yeah. But then you see the part where I guess the you know saying the white guy, I don't know the name was, but the white guy was trying to entice Bruce Lee to fight with him, and he was like and say, "Do I bother here?" And Bruce Lee was like, don't brace yourself. And then the white guy was like, what's your style? And Bruce Lee was like, my style? You can call it the art of fighting without fighting. And he was like, well, show me something. And so what he did was he tricked him, got him off the boat, and then that was it. I'm surprised he didn't drown in the movie.
Now, let me ask everyone some, I guess, a question or two. How have things changed for you as far as how you interact with people, how you interact with white people as well, once you did come into the realization that, we live in a system of racism and white supremacy?
Well, I can tell you, hello? Yeah, growing up, my dad always told me about them, and when I got older, I started to see for myself, and when I got on jobs, I was always aware I didn't get fooled because they would want to shake my hand or smile in my face, and 9 times out of 10, sooner or later, they would show their true colors in some form or fashion. And the last job I had, they used to get mad because I wasn't always smiling at the guests or kissing their butt and all that stuff. If I had something to say, I would say it, Plus, I had to get out of there because I was going through stress and depression. I had to get help for that, but that's how I can say with me. I'm done.
Mr. Nero, sir, can you repeat the question if I can understand it?
Sure. I'm just wondering, how has your life been impacted by knowing the fact that we live in a system of racism and white supremacy, and how has it affected the way you deal with people, especially white people?
Well, basically, I would have to say that I'm kind of neutral. You know what I'm saying? People still have their views on racism, and then people have their views saying that racism don't exist anymore because we're all together as a so-called quote-unquote unit. I would say every time I interact with white people, when I bring up views on racism, it's like they see, if they're a victim just like mine, we should be just continue to go ahead and talk about it. But the same things that get me to not to talk about it. Why? Because they get offended and they just feel like so much sorrow for white people and all that stuff. But see, when I talk to white folks about it, oh yeah, they are so quick to say, well, I don't think we should talk about that right now. And I ask why, and they'll be like, well, of course, they always say, well, because I said so. It's making me feel uncomfortable, and it's not fair. It just go back, and it kind of goes back to the so-called quote-unquote interracial dating thing. They always say, well, if I was racist, I wouldn't have any black kids or half black kids and, stuff like that. If I was racist, I wouldn't be talking to her now. If I wasn't. Oh.
Hello?
Oh, please continue, sir.
Oh, okay. I just want to add this real quick. I almost forgot. When I was in high school, and my dad used to tell me, when push comes to shove, they still look at you as a nigger. And I have seen examples of that. Like one day, when I was in high school, a freshman, it used to be this white boy named Benson. I always wanted to hang around me. And, I hung with him sometimes. I thought he was cool. But what ended up happening was, one morning in the cafeteria, he got into an argument with a sister. And he told her to shut your black ass up. And I saw her running towards him, but I didn't know what was going on. So I ended up finding out later, and it just reminded me of what my dad said, and I think it's so true. I'm finished.
Yeah, I wanted to continue about this. The whole interracial thing is like I say, it's like they get uncomfortable when they bring up when I actually bring up views on racism. They just start to get uncomfortable. And basically, what I realized is their whole excuse is, well, if I was racist, I wouldn't be talking to you. If I wasn't racist, I want to have a black best friend. If I wasn't racist, my sister won't marry a black man, and you just continuing on and on and on and on. But you know what I'm saying? Just coming, you know, reading the code a few times is it's always the always assume, always be suspicious, because you never know, they might just flip the script just like that. And so once they do, just like Brother just said just now, they know how to show their true colors all the time. So basically, my experience was, and it's like I feel that half of the non-white females, just the way how they carry themselves, I feel that they're like trying to have the basic characteristics of a white female. Why? Because based on the name calling, how they look at you, it's like other non-white females, they say non-black females, they use the term quote-unquote, oh my God, all I do is date black men. I think they're the sexiest men on the planet and da-da-da-da-da. And at the same time, if you're so in love with us, why you sitting here destroying black manhood, and for what? And I look at that all the time. It's like, dang, are you serious? I feel like that I'm in the presence of a white female, because that's what white females do. Back during slavery, back during the lynchings, I mean, they seem to castrate you. So basically, I mean, I just go by my experience, but like I say, I believe that nothing has changed. As I'm still breathing this air today, nothing's changed. I think it's basically because of the images. That's all.
I just want to mention real quick, I have a friend, her mom, well, according to my friend, her mom married a white man.
Right.
And she said ever since her mom married a white man, she done switched up big time. I mean, I done heard on the phone all of a sudden talking so-called proper English, all the bullshit, and she acts foul towards her own kids. But that's all I got to say.
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, I forgot now. 3 or 4 seconds. Excuse me. Okay, can I have my plea? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I have to make sure. I guess 999 was telling me about, just to wait 3 to 4 seconds. So I'm just doing all the respect of the show. But I mean, yeah, just like Brother was saying, like, yeah, it's like, yeah, they switch up too. Like I have this cousin. First she was on to essays, then she's on to brothers, and now she's having an offspring by a white person. So yeah, they switch up too. I've noticed that. I mean, for one thing, that they're so the system is so quick to call you a broke nigger. At the same time, we're still on the slave ship. Your conditioning ain't no better than mine. We're still changing in the whole of the ship. So I've noticed that. So basically, if you don't look like that you got money, they're not gonna deal with you. That's why.
And they don't. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, shit, I look at him and be like, bitch, not every white man has money either. But go ahead.
Yeah, gotcha. See, it's like, at the same time, it's like, see, the thing is, I'm pretty sure you all can agree when I say this, it's like, damn, the so-called quote-unquote economy is bad. At the same time, as I look at the system of white supremacy, as non-white people, as in black people, the economy is bad, and that's actually not our fault. If you can agree with that. Reason why it's not our fault reason why it's not our fault is because if we help build the system, well, no, let me go back. If we're like already born into the system and we help build more of the system, why is the system in economic crisis now? Now, it was back. If we're still back there, during back slavery, there'll be no economic issues. But we're like in an economic crisis. And as you notice, black male and black female relationships are always being destroyed, including other non-white males and females relationships. Mm-hmm. So it's like, so I don't know if you all like be on the dating sites or whatnot, and yeah, of course I've been to a couple of them, but they always have to put in, I'm looking for someone who has goals, morals, quote unquote financially secure, got to have your own car, got to have your own job, money, this and that and that and this, and then we can start something. So basically, the whole thing is, and I remember Dr. Fuller mentioned in the show about the romance is phony thing. It's like this way, wasting all that time and money entertaining themselves, and I believe it's in the code too.
Right.
And I look at that, it's like, dang, it's like we're going on the so-called quote-unquote date. Basically, you know, me being the so-called quote-unquote man, which I'm not a man. I mean, I'm still shackled in chains in about the whole ship. I'm not strong nowhere. How am I supposed to treat you? How am I supposed to treat you if I don't have it?
Right.
How are they supposed to hand me the money when I can't actually, you know, grasp it? If the change is so locked securely on my wrist, that means I can't have it. Like I say, they just give us, you know, just so much to survive. So that's basically it.
But I was going to say also to add to what you were saying at first was, I always felt that when a lot of us see a white person, we thinking about a walking dollar sign.
Right. Well, let's see. Okay, see the whole thing. Okay, look. Okay, she's a white female. Even though her grandparents told her don't mess with white females, period, because they nothing but trouble. But let's see, times have changed. Not all white females are like that. So let me go ahead and spit at this white female just to see what she does. Hey, what's up? How you doing? I'm da-da-da-da-da. Oh, hey, how you doing? Da-da-da-da. You know, and then, you know, you start to ask her questions. And then the whole communication just cuts off. So questions like, well, I remember I was married to this one white female. I mean, I really didn't actually get with her, but I was just trying to run my own test to see where their mind is at. As a non-white female, have she ever, you know, had sexual intercourse with a black person? She was quiet for a second. She looked at me crazy, like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm dead serious." Why should that be an issue? Why should it matter? And I say because it matters to me, because I'm in this position where I'm still subject to you. Well, you should never feel like that, because it's not all about that anymore. We're different times. Everyone's getting along together, and then da-da-da-da-da. I said, yeah, to a certain point, I'm still being mistreated. By who? Well, by people who practice racism. Oh, so you think I practice racism? I don't know. Do you? Does it look like I do? I don't know. I'm looking at you now, but I'm asking the question. You know what I'm saying? Well, I don't have to answer you, okay? Let's just not talk about it, okay? Because you're making me feel uncomfortable, and it's pissing me off. I always get pissed off every time you bring up the issue. I always bring up the issue of race, and they always seem to get pissed off.
Right.
Do. Go ahead.
I was going to say real fast was a few years back, BET.com used to have something called BET Chat, and I went on there one day, and this white girl, they had something where you could have private chat, and she PM'd me, and she was like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "All right." And she was like, "Do you like white girls?" I'm like, "Nah, I stick to my sisters." And she made a sad face, and I was like, "What's wrong? You don't like black women?" She was like, "No, their attitudes and this and that." Then I said, there are good black women out there. My mom and sister are two good black women. And she was like, "I don't care." Then she left the chat.
Oh, what a bammer excuse. I put on a sad face, too. If you had me, you know, a sad face. Listen. Of course, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go back to go back to what it says in the back of the code by Neely Fuller. He says that the relationship between black people and white people has been a total disaster. So, an example of that: if a white woman says it's over, that's fine. It's over. Or in other words, it's not working. Sure, it's not working. Why? Well, why do you think it's not working? Because the relationship that we have is a total disaster. You're in a position to still practice racism. I mean, you know it. That's why you do what you do. If I don't come home at a certain time, or I don't answer your calls or whatnot, you suspect to be so-called quote-unquote cheating on you, which is not even the case. So if you're living under the white woman's roof, you can whip flogged to death every damn night because you're not home at a certain time. Well, the reason why she do that because she has the power to do that.
Right. I was told. I would have told that bitch. I'm like, look, bitch, I'm stepping. You got me fucked up.
Can we watch the language, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
yes, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
You was still talking.
No, I said what I was gonna say. I just was told that I'm stepping. You're not my mother.
Yeah. I got a brother who's going through that right now. So here's the whole scenario. I guess my brother was quote unquote cheating on her, and I mean it's a white female, and so I guess he's on the brink of going to prison because he had put his hands on another white female's kids, which I believe who was non-white. I mean, I don't know the story behind that. At the same time, his woman is now friends with the woman who's trying to put him in prison. Just because I mean, like I said, I don't know the whole story, but the reason why they do what they do, see, white unity means white supremacy. If two white people unite and they want to see you go down, that's when you know they got the power. Always.
Right.
They always do that. Okay. Two white females that love black men, love to be in black men, like to have sex with them or whatnot. They happen to mess up. I'm gonna do what it is in my power to make sure you go down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get in contact with another white female who dates black men, and we're gonna help you put you down. So if you have to see me out in the street, we'll just go ahead and call the police and like I said, they do it all sorts of ways. I mean, pick one, all one size fits all. That's what they do all the time. I mean, it's like, dang. I mean, it just goes back. It goes back to Sonny. On the sex and film and white supremacy, he was like, if that were true, that they would leave us alone. And when I heard that, I'm like, man, I totally agree with that. If they're going to sit up here and do the things that they do, just to show how much they hate us daily, why don't we just leave this hell alone? You know what I'm saying? I think it's like a perversion or whatnot. You know what they say? Chocolate is an aphrodisiac. So it's like, I'm gonna go ahead and get this chocolate, but at the same time, I'm gonna destroy it by destroying him. So yeah, I mean that's how it is. But I don't know.
I was gonna tell you.
No,
I was gonna tell you. I done been out in public and I done peeped these relationships with black men and white women, and I look at them walk by, and it seemed like some of these white women have this look on their face like, yeah, I got this nigga. You know what I'm saying? If black women walk by, they just look at them mean and everything.
But can you blame them, though? Can you blame them?
No, I'm talking about how they look at the black women, not how the black women look at them.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I take that back. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been seeing that a lot too. And these brothers be walking around the malls, up in the streets, up in the cars, bumping rap music, Lil Wayne and Jay-Z and da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
I could be on the street corner just waiting across the street because a brother pull up in some nice BMW with a white women in the car bumping some, I don't know, whatever rap they just listen to. They just give me this mean monkey look like, you try to peep at her, I'm going to peep at you feel me? And I was like, dang, come on, man, anybody want her? I mean, yo, that's your dead wish.
Right.
Yeah, let me say, that's your dead wish. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Well, okay, fine then. You don't want us to look at your master? Fine, we won't look at him. Say like if you're saying one of the brothers on here that's in, for example, say like one of the brothers in here is in league with a white female, and they hear all this and they hear the discussion. Most likely it's going to get played back to her because you know how white women be all on a computer, all online, all day and all night. So when she hears her so-called slave's voice on the line, and he's telling us like me and you talking right now about his experience, about how it was like living with this white woman, oh, trust me, it's going to go back to him. The scenario goes like this. So, I heard you on the radio. You heard who on the radio? No, you. I heard you on the radio. Are you familiar with Blog Talk Radio? I was like, yeah, I was on the radio. Oh, yeah, but I heard your voice there. What are you talking about? And, of course, if he's going to be honest, Either he's going to be honest or he's going to cover it up. Oh, nothing. Well, I heard that you wasn't happy with a white female, and that white female is me. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you to get out of my house and don't contact me ever again, because that's foul. I never done anything to you for you to talk about me like that. So, whoever you're talking to, you better tell them to lay off me, whoever they are. I'll find out who they are. I always do. See, they always find out who's doing the damn, or who's talking behind their backs. It's like, just being like, somebody's like just spilled Negroes. Like, man, I can't stand that. I can't stand it. Then, of course, one of them is going to go inside the master's house and say, hey, so-and-so was talking about you. I think you better handle that now. So like I said, she finds out that her slave is talking to other slaves out on the plantation, on the bar, on the whole of the shit, about how he's being mistreated. Trust me, she is going to find out, and then there's curtains for him. So,
right.
in order to boost his ego, the whole thing is this: he has to turn into a thug, and then come at us with this thug mentality. The thing is, I'll make it short and sweet. See, you know what? I gotta get rid of you. And say, look, man, look. I don't know what y'all doing, but you're gonna start to talk about my girl. You feel me? If you don't, the bats will kill me. But still, I'll kill you first. And that's a whole procedure. I don't know if you noticed about these brothers out here, but I'm pretty sure they will kill for a white woman. It's like we all at the table. It's like we all at a table eating, right? And there's a last biscuit on the table. You'll actually kill your brother for last biscuit on the table. It's like a white woman. That white woman on the table is that biscuit. That's what it is. And I done seen it, and I done heard about it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, oh, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Brothers will kill you over a white woman. So lost in lust and love, whatever it is. And just like Cree and Sonny was saying, it's like some sort of arrangement.
I've been on the bus. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I think I said enough.
I was going to say, I've been on the bus, man, and a white girl will get on the bus, and I see a black dude get to the front faster than a grasshopper could.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. But like I was saying, like I said, it's just a sort of arrangement. It's just like Dr. Luther Fuller says. I was listening to him on Context Radio. Dr. Fuller was like, yeah, see, non-white people select each other. White people select, people from a bunch. Another non-white person selects another non-white person. I mean, I could be incorrect about that custom, but see, we're being selected. It's like going to a zoo, or going to a pet store, or just walking around, just minding our own business. I don't know if you watch the commercials, or those Coke commercials, or those Hanes commercials, or whatnot. You always see two white women, and see the white boys walking by. He wears briefs, he wears boxers. No, he wears briefs, he wears boxers. Just like us, we can walk, we can just walk past them or whatnot. We can just sit there and walk past them or whatnot. And it's like, okay, well, I like the thug look. The one with his pants sagging down, I'll go ahead and take him. I don't know about this guy. He looks too nice. I don't want him. I want someone who's going to put his hands on me. So whenever I call him a nigger, he's going to put hands on me. I can call the police. I'm pretty sure he's been in jail 4 or 5 times. He's pretty sure he doesn't mind going to jail for me. And so when he's in jail, he's going to be in jail anyway. So let me just go ahead and let me just go ahead and just come at him sideways and act like I'm going to give it to him so bad. And let me just, when he's sitting down, I'll bend over and show my cleavage, and he gets so lost in my cleavage, and so I'll have him. I mean, the sideways technique is always working. That's why these brothers get caught up all the time, if you really notice that. Even nightclubs.
I did want to make sure we didn't lose the other 4 folks who were on the line with us. If they had any comments they wanted to share about what's been discussed.
It sounds like you guys are saying that white women are dangerous and present a problem when viewed as a sexual partner are viewed as some sort of a person to be engaging in sexual intercourse with. I think one way to avoid some of those problems or minimize it is to definitely remove them from your spectrum of females to engage in sex with. And then so they're still around. So what do you do if suspected racist white females? Is a suggestion could be is study them, observe them like you would be observing anyone that you need to figure out how to become smarter than or outthink. And I try to limit my interactions with them for that purpose, or of course to try to get constructive information to help me solve any problems I may have. So you can avoid a whole lot of those mishaps if you just come off the sex list.
Right. I think that's very much well ingrained. But I'll agree with you. I totally agree with you. The less sex you have, the more advanced you have to solving problems. So at the same time, I kind of just stay away from them too, because what I'm saying. Well, I'm pretty sure all your friends and what your parents told you when you grow up, they're nothing but trouble. All they're gonna do, they're gonna put you in jail. And at the same time, you learn by experience, just by observation. I'm pretty sure you all know the names I'm talking about. Tiger Woods, Kobe Bryant, OJ. And it's like to see Tiger on the other hand, it's like dang, you know what I'm saying? It's like, y'all, you kidding me? But see, I thought that was like a little bit extreme at first when I first heard about it. But it's like, man, it's just another OJ and Kobe situation. Only then he had sex with other non-white females. Not other non-white females, but other white females. I don't know. I guess it is something about white females that we just can't stay away from. For one, I guess Judy. Say what again? Say what?
Yeah. I was just saying that from very young, I think most non-white males are extremely exposed to white females being the pinnacle of beauty or selection, and so it's a very design conditioned thing of why you see people having some sort of thinking that white women are even attractive, in my opinion. It got to do with a whole lot of Barbie dolls and everything else, Little Mermaids and everything else, put me face. Right.
I also want to say I think that's like the main epitome of the system of white supremacy. I don't know if you noticed that, but at the same time, I think they play a major role. I think during all this so-called, during all this mistreatment and whatnot, they play a major role. And it does, at the same time, while we're sitting down here in the hull of the ship, and while they're up there, it just kind of increased the problem anyway. Because if you notice, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go. I want to hear what you were going to say.
Yeah, but see, if you notice, the problems just keep on coming. Because because like Dr. Nita Fuller says, we're like the monstrosity. I don't know if I said the word right. Monstrosity. Did I say it right?
Oh yes.
Okay, monstrosity. For example, this is how I put it. Okay. Eventually, the white female will eventually get the black person mad. And so what's going to happen is he's going to turn into this great big old monster and she doesn't know what to do but call the police. Put them in jail, at the same time. And I'll be asking these brothers, man, it's like, damn, she calls you a nigger. You put hands on her. You go to jail. At the same time, is she going to put money on your books?
No.
Is she going to even come to your court dates, or is she going to even go to your court? You know what I'm saying? Your days in court or whatnot. Is she gonna sit there in that courtroom for you? Is she even going to so-called quote-unquote ride or die for you? We already know the answer. We've seen this movie before, and I've been seeing it many a times.
And I want
to expect of it. Oh, I got to say one last thing. So what do you expect of it? You expect it to protect it, the interest of choosing a female. If it was a white female. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think what helped me, that kept me from crossing that line, I say part of it was my dad and part of it was me, because I always been the type, you know, they label conscious. And he told me from day one, hey, man, you know, he's from the old school, too. He was like, hey, man, leave him alone. And with me, I guess if you want to say having a conscious mind, I was able to see things on my own that a lot of other brothers just don't see or refuse to see because they're infatuated over white women.
Oh, yeah, of course. You cannot turn. Yeah, confusion. Sorry about that. I'm sorry. Did I just cut somebody off just now?
No, sir.
Okay, I thought I cut somebody off, but I mean, like I said, I think that is the most important weapon of destroying male image, black male image. That is. Why? Is because you know what, they can get what they want. You see all the brothers in sports right now. I think that's a major field too. You know, scholarship, get you a white female. That's the thing is. What does the brothers mean this is about? You know, in our sisters out here, they got too much baggage. They got attitude problems. They this, they that, and this and that. Always want the money. The white females, they don't go after the money because at the same time they got the money stacked up already. Well, let's see. He got a grant for $2,303 million dollars, but I have my money. So whenever we get divorced, I have my money and he'll have his money, but I want more of his money. So whenever we get divorced, he's done. He is so done. He's stuck and he's effed, and they come among them. Like, I don't want your money. I just want you for yourself. I think you're a great guy, even though you play sports. I'm pretty sure you're good in bed and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, okay, they got money, but at the same time, they got money too. So when the word passed, when the buzz passed to the parents, hey, I'm marrying this great football player. Pretty sure, Dad's going to disagree. You better not bring that black bastard here. Excuse me. You better not bring him here. You better not bring him here. If you do, I'll disown ya. You bring him around me, I'll disown ya. So the mother's going to pull her daughter to the side. Now, listen, honey, I know he's black, and you're not supposed to be doing that. You know better than that. But you're a different species, and don't you forget it. I heard that from my nigga before, but he said it in a different way. But, just give whatever you can. But listen, I'll give you some money in case I'll just give you this money. You know we're wealthy from them. You know how wealthy we are. How wealthy we are. So I'm going to give you at least $10,000 for you to stash anyway. But once you get his money, you add his money to the money I'm giving you now. So, honey, it's okay, but just remember your limits. You have to get alimony. You have any children from him. Just fight for custody for the kids and just make it look like that he's nothing. If you watch TV, black guys don't take care of the kids. So as a mother, I follow you. I do that. I do it. So here's $10,000, baby, and you can just, add his $2.5 million to your $10,000. So once you get alimony, you have some money. You'll leave us some money. You just come back to us. And then when you get all recovered and healed, you can just do it all over again. It's like a cycle.
Is anyone on the line?
Go ahead.
Okay,
I was going. Hello?
If you had something else on this topic, go ahead, because I was actually going to ask something that was, kind of changing the subject.
Oh, go ahead, ask me. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to see if anyone on the line attempts to produce or trigger a counter-racist response in an individual victim of racism, white supremacy. When I say victim of racism, white supremacy, I just mean non-white person. So if anyone on the line attempts to trigger a counter-racist response in a victim, and if so, what methods have you seen produce the most effective results?
What is a counter-racist response, if I may ask?
Sure. I guess I'm also thinking about an individual victim that you may be looking at who you would surmise is maybe more confused about racism, white supremacy, and then as a result of you interacting with them or sharing some information with them or whatnot, they then begin to behave less confused about what's going on. So to me, that would be a counter-racist response, since racism, white supremacy, part of the goal is to confuse victims.
Let's see, a counter-racism response. That's kind of deep. I think I'll pass it. I don't have the answer to that right now, but just give me some thought. I'll have to come back to it.
Hello?
Yeah, same here. I got to think on that.
I
respond.
Hello? Can I be heard?
Ahead. Yeah, I can hear you, but go ahead. Sorry about that.
I was just gonna say sometimes non-white people they think that racism is a economic thing, that Marxist ideology. But when you what I do is I just point out the fact that they are a minority on the planet, and that simple observation, they seem to say, oh yeah, if I was put in that position, this is, they say, I've heard non-white people say, yeah, well, if I was put in that position where I was a minority and I felt the need to, and I wanted to stay black, if that was my ideology, is that I wanted my kids to be black, and I'm a minority, so how would I bring that about? So yeah, pointing that out, and out here, like I said, being from LA, we're born and raised and stuff, with the Bloods and Crips, I point out the fact that the United States flag is red, white, and blue. And so I ask them, I just say, have you ever thought about the fact that the flags that you wave are the same flags that's on the United States flag? And a lot of times they haven't even thought about that. Like, yeah, blue and red, that's the flag, and the white, you feel me? There's red, white, and blue. So while we're fighting each other and killing each other, and the white is just, kicking back, watching, they're the cause, and it's basically a conditioning and whatnot. So those two things I found some success with, just getting people to think about what it is that they're doing.
I totally agree with that. I think I would say my counter-racist, you say response or? Counter-racist response. Yeah, exactly. For example, I'll say that, if a white person calls you a so-called quote-unquote American, you have to realize that there is no such thing as an American. An American practices justice. So therefore, I can't be an American. If anything, I'm un-American, but I'm not an American. Not even so-called quote-unquote African American. Not even close to be that if I'm still in chains. So when non-white, males and females come at me talking about, well, hey, look, man, we're in America now. I know it's like, I don't know that's not the correct term to use, America. I just call it the system of white supremacy, system of racism, the slave ship, the plantation, slave quarter, whatever have you. I just kind of look at those four things. So when people say that I'm American, I kind of correct them and say, hey, I'm not an American. Then they'll say, well, you're born in America, aren't you? Yeah, I'm born under a system of racism. Yeah. It's like a system of racism. Yeah, the system of racism. And it's like automatically they get real quiet and short of breath. Like, I never heard of that term before. Say, hey, well, what is what it is. So when people call me that, at the same time, I kind of look at I kind of look at that. I look at their condition and I look at mine. And I say to them, like, you know what, how's that? When your condition is no better than mine. I don't care who you are. If you're a non-white person, you are a victim of white supremacy. Plain and simple, bottom line. Set up and down.
Time you want to hop in.
Oh, back of the bus is on?
Back of the bus is here. C.O.W.S is here. And Brother Jay, I have you back. So C.O.W.S, back of the bus have joined the line.
All right.
Brother C.O.W.S, peace, how you feeling, dude?
Hey, sir, I'm okay. Still learning. How are you?
Yes. Hey, like I always tell people, everything is everything.
What did you say?
I said I tell people everything is everything.
All right. I say that sometimes. Everything is everything.
Everything is everything.
But when we got on, it sounded like my entrance interrupted the discussion. What were you discussing?
I was just saying about how I look at other non-white people's conditions compared to mine. I mean, I could be incorrect, but at the same time, I look at another non-white person. I tell them, hey, you know what? You're a victim of racism too. In other words, your conditions are better than mine because at the same time, we're in a position where we're going to be mistreated.
Oh yeah, right.
On the basis of color. So I guess I think Brother Nero was saying. I mean, what would be the counter racist response? And like I was saying, when non-white people call me an American, I sometimes have to correct them, saying, "Well, no, I'm not an American because an American practice justice," and so forth and so forth. I know I said so many things about it, but I mean, I kind of just be like, you know what? Well, I know I'm not American because at the same time, I mean, if so, what is an American? And when I start to ask questions, they say like, man, you don't know the hell you're talking about, so just shut up. I'm like, all right, thank you. Because then right there, if I keep on continuing, it's going to start conflict, and that's what I try to avoid. So that's how I counter it.
Okay. Yeah, I was just having a discussion with someone about 15 minutes ago before I came on, something similar to that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, I mean, and when I talk to people, if they don't agree with being a victim of racism, then I already end the conversation because I don't even want to go further because I know it's going to be some conflicting. Did I already miss out on the discussion? Go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to throw in real quick. I remember listening to Ed Williams on counterracism.org about talking about racism. Ed Williams was like, if you were to tell another non-white person racism still exists, and if that non-white person response is racism don't exist, then you might as well just change the subject. I mean, let's talk about baseball or what you have for dinner, or what you seen on TV today. Because, like you say, if you're going to say yes, it is, and you get into a big old debate and discussion, then it's going to lead to conflict, name calling, cursing, whatever. Yes, so therefore, that's why you just change the subject. And I totally agree with that. Otherwise, just leave it alone. If they feel that they're not a race, if they're not a victim of racism, just go ahead, just leave it alone, and just basically just sit back and just see for themselves. So when they call you talking about this white person mistreated me because I didn't have a credit card, then you know then, right then and there, that they are being mistreated.
For anybody, I'm sorry. Did you have something to comment on, on what was currently being talked about?
I was just going to say definitions are important, and terminologies are important. And so, a lot of times I've heard discussions on racism, at the Thanksgiving table or just at dinner or whatever, and people don't seem to know what they're talking about most of the time. So I think that's just a recipe for disaster and conflict anyway. So just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, I actually totally agree with that. Thanksgiving, that's like a primary thing to bring up racism. I know it's not primary, I just kind of throw that in. But see, when I tell people, it's like, hey, we shouldn't be celebrating this. This is like a symbol of peace of the massacre. A whole bunch of Indians being massacred by, white supremacy. And we're sitting there eating this food, all this turkey and cranberry sauce and all this other thing, and it's like, are we like in a position to celebrate it? No, we're programmed and we're trained to celebrate it. That's why we celebrate it. And most of the time I had to be like, that's why at most times, during my family wise, I tell them they sometimes get mad at me because I don't attend, and I tell them, hey, we're not in a position to be celebrating this. It's not a holiday anyway. Well, it's all about being part of the family. Yes, I understand that, and I love you as my family, but at the same time, we should really think about what we're doing. Thanksgiving for what? What are we giving thanks for? For them still, practicing racism on us on a day-to-day basis? That's what you want? Then quickly I get hung up on. So, that's my assessment.
Hello? Can I be heard?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
I can.
I'm sorry, because I had to get off the line while y'all were talking, so I hope this question I ask is not something that you've already hashed on. But when dealing with the women in your lives, have you had, because you're focused on white supremacy, have you had difficulty with the women you've been with due to that?
With a black female?
Yes, exactly. Black female.
You're going to have difficulties no matter what the situation is what I have observed. Whether she knows about racism or not, you're going to still have problems. But you'll have less, I feel, if she does have an understanding of the fact that we live in a system of racism and white supremacy. At least then, hopefully she can at least put some of the, frustration and some of our own insecurities into the proper context. And realize that a lot of our, and I think Sin Q touched on it in his interview. We fight over petty stuff, little things. I can personally recall getting into heated arguments over the furniture being moved. Black females unfortunately are pretty good for waking you up at 3 o'clock in the morning to talk about something that you did yesterday. I've had that experience, just being woken up out of a dead sleep. And when you say, well, hey, can we go back to sleep and discuss this in the morning? The response you get from that is, well, you must not really care about me if you're not even willing to wake up and talk about it. So then when you do wake up and talk about it, you're at a disadvantage because she's wide awake and you're sleepy, So I feel a lot of that can be reduced and minimized if both of you have an understanding of, what the system is and how it's working. At least have, kind of the fundamentals down that, who your real enemy is. And I do believe that, you minimize a lot of the conflict between the two of you. I don't think you'll ever completely eliminate it as long as we live in this system because it's so much pressure put on both males and females that white people don't have to deal with. So, that's kind of my take with that. You're going to have some problems regardless. And you'll have more problems with her than you're going to have with a white woman. I can go on record as saying that right now. You're going to have fewer problems dealing with a white woman. Although she's mistreating you, you're still going to have fewer problems. It's going to be like a vacation compared to dealing with a non-white female.
I totally agree with that.
Would you say that's the case, even if you're talking about racism, white supremacy with the white female missionary? Would you say that what you said was still apply?
That topic is pretty much going to be off limits with the average white female. Let me say this in regards to him. I didn't get a chance to get this in because I have experimented with them, and I've run a test as Mr. Fuller has said. I appreciate that. My first cowbell. And so I've run a test, and what I have observed is this: on average, with the females that I had an opportunity to experiment with, they usually have a rift with their family, particularly their father. They're typically going to be at odds with their father over something. They usually also have an extremely high sex drive. So if you're going to be having sex with a white woman, you better bring your supplements because you're definitely going to need it. That's the other thing, extremely high sex drive. The other thing that I've observed is that they can be very patronizing in how they deal with you and very quiet on a lot of issues. And you can't expect them to help you build anything constructive because what I've observed is they're just not in it for that. So you're not going to get a situation where, like, I just watched television and I saw right before I left, I was watching some drag racing and the man's wife was working on the car. Taking the engine apart and grabbing a fan and you know what I mean and there was nothing in it for her. You know what I mean? She was, simply, I guess feeling a need of some sort. Maybe they were shorthanded. I don't know what the circumstances were. But she's not going to do that for you. That's not the white female you're going to get. The white female you're going to get is always going to be available to you sexually. And she's going to make that quite clear, that you can wake her up in the middle of the night, you can come over in the middle of the night, all hours of the night, doesn't matter. She will make sure that she is always available to you. And that is the only reward you are expected to get.
That's deep. That is so deep. A little bit too deep, but that is deep. Hell yeah.
I could totally agree with that. That all sounds pretty, Only now it appears to me though, it seems to me that dealing with a non-white female that is codified, if that's the term we can use for she's aware of the system and she's attempting to practice code. It appears to me that would be a great relief of a lot of problems. I think when when if you're in a relationship with a white female, a white woman, and she is doesn't have a whole lot of problems, it is because she's a white person. The way she functions and the way the system has been set up, she's had people, solve problems for her before she was even born, for generations. And as opposed to a victim who inherits problems from, the victims that they had for, acting, so-called parents. But it appears to me that if you're in a relationship with a non-white female who is, thinking about solving problems just like you are, it seems like it would be constructive. I know that the current, the situation that I'm currently in, it appears to be a lot difficult because she doesn't want to discuss racism, white supremacy, and doesn't want to discuss, she does not want to discuss anything on that kind of level. Like we discuss slavery, it's, it's too depressing. I don't want to hear that. We can't, watch a movie or a television program, for the purposes of studying it, and then after it's over, discussing, what we learned from it or what we got out of it in relation to racism, white supremacy. That's just no. I don't get that, and I found it very interesting to have some non-white females on the program, like Gus has had, who were interested in the code. I haven't listened to the segment that Gus had where they were all talking, but I do want to go back and listen to that. Have any of you listened to it where they were talking?
Yes, I have.
No,
they're very interesting show.
Yeah, I haven't heard it. I think I need to check that out. I might even just download it. Glad you mentioned that. So.
Yeah, I recommend that all the listeners.
Oh. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Nero.
No, I was going to say I recommend that all the listeners download that particular show, as well as make a donation in the process.
I was going to say with a chuckle, one major difference that I noted from that program and this program is that the non-white females spent a lot less time talking about having sex with white people. Not throwing that out for a response, just that is a huge difference between those two programs thus far. I don't think they spent more than 15 minutes talking about having sex with a white person. I could be incorrect. That was a year ago, but if they spent more time talking about it, feel free to correct me. I did want to throw a question out, though. Dr. Muhammad, a.k.a. Sin-Q, when you were here last week, you said that you felt you were still working on, detoxing, if I can use that term, the confusion from having belly warmed with a white person. Have you had any further insights on that? And anybody else that's on the line, if you have a similar experience, if you feel like it was a confusion experience and you're still having to work on that, if you'd like to share, I'd be interested in hearing that.
Well, I still have to think more about that process and how that's working. But because now that I know I said that at that time, but after I had more done more thinking about it, because after I got off your program that day, I started reflecting, and I think it goes a lot further. It wasn't just it's not just a detoxing based on what I had going with her. Because after I got off the show, I started reflecting, and I looked at all of the contact that I've had with white females. I mean, from age 5 all the way up into the 30s, and it's been a lot. There's been a lot. I guess you'd say it was a lot of belly warming going on in there too. So it looks like I've probably been confused for a pretty long time. So come on with the cowbell. So that detoxing is a very lengthy process, and I think it's related. It's very tied into the television. It's tied into the television. It's tied into the movies. Growing up, I was just constantly bombarded with white females. After I got off your show and I started reflecting, I thought about the very first white female that I had. I was infatuated with, and it was Shirley Temple. I remember watching this little. When I was like 5 years old, and I'd watch her shows, little movies with her singing and all that kind of stuff. And I think, man, she's the same age as me. I want to meet her, and find out that she was older than my mother when I was watching her on television. Later on, but the detoxing, I think, happened. The process starts when you just, I guess you don't watch, or you stop watching television. I mean, don't watch a whole lot of television, I think. And the one thing that I'm still having a problem with is, I still feel that attraction. I can still see that I'm attracted to white women. Not that I'm not attracted to non-white females, though, but it's just I see many of them, like today. Right now, I'm in sunny California. It's hot. It's about 90 degrees, and all of these white women are walking around in shorts and just very, very thin pieces of clothing on right now, all over the place. And I just find it kind of difficult to not be attracted to them. But as far as some of the confusion, I guess mentally was going on was like, I know when I was in it, I remember when I was thinking, yeah, when I was in that relationship with the one in Alaska, I was like, man, I really can be a part of this system now. I'm an American, and everything is, I'm like, I was just like, I don't want to, I don't have to discuss racism anymore. I don't have to talk about that stuff, and I'm just and I was really imagining myself, just getting married to her and just living off in Alaska someplace and just forgetting about everything, And the thing about it is that what I think probably didn't make it go any more deeper for me was that I really wasn't attracted to her. If it would have been an extremely attractive white woman, I probably wouldn't be talking to you guys right now. I probably, probably would not have. I'd probably still be in Alaska right now. It's gone. So the detoxing thing is still, I'm still learning how to do that. So enough babbling. Who's next? Somebody else want to answer that?
Yes, if I may offer a suggestion, Dr. Muhammad. Do you have a gym membership?
I do not.
No, okay. Yeah, see if you can get to a steam room and sweat out some of that attraction. Because, well, yeah, because what happens is, when you have sex with a female, her essence, the penis is almost like a straw for another person's essence. And so what happens is you absorb that essence, and it literally goes to your brain. And so to try to help reduce some of that attraction that you have, because I would do it every time after being with one, I'd go hit a steam room and sweat out a lot of the toxins. I think you may find that may help a little. It certainly helped me.
A little, huh? So that
a little.
May help a little. Get in there.
May help a little.
Start sweating it out, huh?
Sweating it out.
Yeah. Okay.
Not again.
I'm here. You talking to me?
Oh, okay. One thing that helped me, after understanding that a system of white supremacy existed, was directly asking the white female that raised me about white supremacy, and also having a situational awareness. Anytime I enter a room, I make a mental note to myself where all the white people are, where all the white females are. Because I have observed white females are aggressive and they will make moves towards non-white males, especially black males. I believe someone asked earlier, how did your interactions with white people change after having an understanding of the system? Just what I said, having an awareness of where they are at all times in relation to you, which can be difficult, but for me it's been a good mental exercise. And always asking questions to get information. Dealing with them like they're racist. I mean, getting information, seeing how they tick. I think Nehemiah Wick suggested that earlier, to observe white people, to study them.
Yeah,
great advice.
That really helped as far as I mean, if we're going to use the word detoxing information about white supremacy, and I mean, I guess I kind of always had a feeling that since we're still on the subject of sex with white people, white women, we could change that any time to something else more constructive. But now that we're still on it, though, I once I understood why it was incorrect behavior to do, then it really, it was really on a path to just do the correct thing. I always kind of had the feeling that something was incorrect about those type of relationships or tragic arrangements, because I would try to keep them on the low, if you will. I couldn't go to the mall or the movies or nothing like that. It was real on the low. But yeah, because I kind of had that feeling that something was incorrect about it. I just didn't know what. But once I had more information about what was correct to do, discontinuing that behavior was just part of that process.
Me asking, what prompted the writing of For Emmett Till, Miscegenation Redux? Can I be heard? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Can I be heard?
Can you repeat that?
For Renegade, this is in regards to a poem that deals with sex in the cows. I was just curious what prompted your writing For Emmett Till, the Miscegenation Redux.
Did he step away from the phone?
Or maybe he's not I know
I muted my line. My fault. Sorry about it. The only thing I had said was, number one, I was, at the time that I wrote that piece, I was confused, very confused about racism, white supremacy. I had not read Mr. Fuller's work, and I had not read the ISIS papers at the time. I was having discussions about racism, white supremacy, not using the term white supremacy, but just talking about racism with other people, and having sex with white people was coming up in the conversations a lot. And I remember specifically, I was talking to a black male, and he went to a Christian school in the South. And he was saying that it was easy. He had very easy pickings amongst the white females at the school, the college that he attended. And he said that he never at any point had in mind to marry any of these white chicks, that was just, his sexual exploits, sowing his oats, if you will. And he's married to a black female now. They have kids. They've been married for, I don't know, close to 20 years. Anyway, but he was saying that he felt that a lot of the black male students at this particular school, that was what they did. They just kind of exploited, I'm using that word loosely, exploited the white women to get their sexual pleasure in. And I wrote poetry at the time. I don't anymore, but I wrote poetry at the time, and I just thought that was really fascinating. Since you said to share my credentials, University of Virginia graduate, double major in history, psychology, minor in African American studies. I knew Emmett Till and a lot of the lynchings and things that took place. A lot of that centered around sexual intercourse with white people. I studied under Julian Bond, who's also married to a white person, former president of the National Association for Colored People. And so, the conversation we're having right now, I used to have this conversation a lot. I just didn't have an understanding of white supremacy. And I wanted to write from that perspective of a black male engaging in sexual intercourse with a white person as an act of vengeance for racism, basically. Not condoning it, not cheering it. And I think most of the time when I recited the poem publicly, I would try to be very clear. And I think anybody that's heard the poem, it would be hard to hear it and or read it and to think that I'm condoning this as, this is the thing to do or what have you. I almost feel like I should be sharing, since I have nobody here other than backup buses. But yeah, when I would perform the piece, I tried to emphasize that, this was me kind of writing from other perspectives that I heard. This wasn't anything that I had done. I have not had sexual intercourse with a white female. But the interesting thing, I lived in Atlanta, and Atlanta's a big spoken word spot, so they have lots of venues where you can go and recite publicly. In Atlanta, the live stream is about to end. I'll be a host for a moment. Since the live stream is about to end, I'll decide whether or not I want to recite this poem on the air or not. So that will perhaps entice people to tune in to hear the remainder of the broadcast for those people who are listening online and the live stream is about to end. I might read it, I might not. Anyway, when I was in Atlanta, I would go in and read this poem publicly. I've read it tons of times in Atlanta, and I've done it here in Seattle as well. And in Atlanta, it was obviously predominantly black audience. And I remember reading it, and black females were furious. And I wasn't really understanding, like, what are they upset about? This is not, forget black, go get you a white woman. That's the thing to do. That's not the tone of the poem at all. But they were just furious. And, you could sense their anger, for being on the stage. And it was such a curious thing for me. And I kept doing the poem, and every time they would get angry. And Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. So the question was, why did I write it? I think I've answered that, and I'll have to ponder on whether or not I want to share, because it is, I guess it's interesting, I guess.
What came to mind when I read it was, I had heard it before, but I don't think the words really sunk in as they do now, and I really try to define every word I read and really put words together, see the whole picture. It reminded me in a sense of Soul on Ice by E. Cleaver, and how he speaks of going out and he says raping white women.
Right.
Yeah.
I wasn't cutting you off. I was just agreeing.
Mm.
Yeah, I hadn't really I had thought of that connection. And I had read Soul on Ice when I wrote that piece. I had read Soul on Ice. So yeah, just I hadn't really thought of that. Back of the whole reason I think this came up, Back of the Bus asked me about this poem like a week or so ago, and I emailed it to him, and he said he just needed the title. He didn't need the whole poem. And I hadn't looked at that poem in, I don't know, years. And when I was looking at it, it was kind of like, wow, this is interesting.
Yeah, I didn't even know you wrote it. Like I remember you reciting it, and it was just silence. And you answered one other question I had, was if you recited this in front of a majority of black people, and what their responses that you shared. Yeah, I just remember it being quiet, and I thought I could look it up online, but I didn't know you authored the poem. But it is definitely interesting.
Furious anger. I can tell you. I can't say furious. It's not like anybody threw anything at me or anything, but I definitely remember it was not one of those where people wanted to shake my hand when I came off the stage, or wow, brother, that was a good. None of that. I did not get any phone numbers. None of that happened when I recited it in front of black people in Atlanta. When I recited it in front of white people in Seattle, slightly different response. People were much more willing to engage and talk about what was going on. It was a very different response. Just very different in general. When you talk to white people about racism, it's generally very different. But they had a very different response here in Seattle as opposed to in Atlanta.
It seems. Do you think it's accurate that white people tend to link violence and sex together?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
I think in this context with the poem, I mean, that might have been why it was more white people were more open for discussion afterwards. I could be wrong though. But.
That could be. Yeah, and I never had a white woman hear this poem and get angry. Like, I never had that experience. And I've said this poem in front of a lot of white women. I've never had the experience of a white woman hearing this piece and then coming up like, man, I can't believe you wrote that, and what are you never had that happen at all. I even had white women come up and want to talk in dialogue about the piece and what was going on and that sort of thing. Yeah.
You mean want to take you home that night?
Yes, that's what I was about to say. Reading the now system, I'd say some racist women would want to have sex with you and rape you that night. You know, I could see this really playing in their head, and yeah, I don't know.
That could have been. As I said, I'm not that slick on the game thing, so I probably missed some opportunities to go and belly warm.
Yeah, you missed some, I'm sure. Oh yeah, you definitely missed some. I'm sure Dr. Muhammad can. Yeah, I'm sure Dr. Muhammad can confirm that the white one will allow you to hurt her in that bedroom. Sure, I have no problem with that. No problem at all.
I haven't. She probably would have. I never did nothing like that, but yeah, you're right.
I didn't tell. Yeah, I could have brought a donkey into the room.
All I can say is that you are a toy. You are a toy. That is what you are. You are a sexual toy, a plaything, and that can encompass whatever. I'm pretty sure if I did, she wouldn't have had a problem with it. You're right, but no.
And this is why I
don't say you missed out on. You didn't miss out on any opportunities. It's a good thing you did.
I probably would have to co-sign. There's some background noise. I don't know where that's coming from. It sounds like...
Oh, that's me. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
That's the music.
Yeah, I probably would have to co-sign with Dr. Muhammad that if I had gone that route, I would not be doing this program right now, and that's why Dr. Eddie Moore Jr. and some of the other black males that I know who reside in this area of the West, I think on the West Coast in general, if I had grown up in this environment, it's very difficult for me to imagine how I would have ended up in this spot studying racism, white supremacy, and being concerned about it if I had grew up in this environment, because that sexual confusion and access to white women is so easy out here that I think it would have been game over. I would have. Who cares about me before I got my white woman? Life is grand. I have a question that I wanted to ask. I'm on the fence, right? Like, it's not that I have beef about reading. Like, I've read the poem publicly many times. There's videotape if you get out and find the right people. There's a video of me reading it publicly.
Hey, Gus.
I don't.
Gus.
Yes.
You're breaking up.
Oh, okay. I'm testing now. Am I still breaking up, or am I clear?
Actually, I can hear you fine.
Oh.
You're clear to me.
You're clear here too.
Okay, though. Yeah, it's not that I have beef about reading publicly, because I've done that a lot. It's just I don't do that anymore. Like, I haven't done poetry like years. Like, I just don't. The people that I see doing poetry, it doesn't seem constructive to replacing white supremacy with justice. So, yeah, I don't want to be thrown in the spoken word category anymore. I'm very comfortable being in the attempted counter-racist category. But just for context, if you all think it would be constructive to hear the poem, then you can make your own evaluation. I'll read it, and then I'll ask my question. Or if you all don't care, that's fine. I can ask my question now.
I'm dying to hear it.
Other than Mr. Nero, if you're the only one who wants to hear it, I'll do it for Mr. Nero if you are interested. Anybody else?
I'm dying to hear it too. I'm dying to hear it, though.
The context would be appreciated. The context would be necessary.
I want to hear the reactions as well.
Okay, we'll do the piece. I will. I stamped, like I said, I was doing this from perspective because I was having this dialogue when I wrote it with a lot of black males, and this poem was basically what they were telling me, right? So there are two names in it, Jerry and Michelle. That's Jerry Falwell. He's passed away now. Suspected racist white supremacist who was the founder and president of the college that one of the victims that I spoke with attended. So that's the Jerry and Michelle reference that's in the poem, just for context, so you'll understand what's going on. If you give me 1 sec, I want to look at it because I just sent it to Back of the Bus so that I don't misread.
I think it mentions Bull Connor and Martin too.
Yeah.
Martin Luther King and Bull Connor.
It does. I was going to leave the Bull Connor out because I assume people know who Bull Connor is. And
okay.
If you don't know who Bull Connor is, that'll be your homework for anybody listening to this program, because you should know who Bull Connor is. That's, if you are attempting to replace white supremacy with justice, that is an important name in the history of white supremacy. So if you don't know who he is,
big poem.
Thank you. I'm glad people on the line know who Bull Connor is. Right on. That's a little hope for the non-white team. And if you don't know who he is, that's going to botch the climax of the poem. So you will not get a accurate gauge of what's happening in this poem if you don't know who Bull Connor is. Okay. The title, as Back of the Bus just shared, For Emmett Till. Gosh, I hope people know who Emmett Till is too. You should know who Emmett Till is too. For Emmett Till, Miscegenation Redux. Intentions genuine as promises made to the Indians, but no DOAs or OJs, just some blonde au fait. Jerry and Michelle's little girl wanted to taste. Enter gates, get a hot heaping helping of dark meat on her plate. Dynamite the milky thighs open wide like doors of burning churches. Deplorable as deeds I make daddy's daughter do. Me with the lights on so I can admire our colorful contrast as black and white as our past. Cracking that cracker back like cotton sacks on black backs make her beg me to stop like Virginia did Nat. Shackle shattering strokes and shrieks that keep my neighbors woke while she hide under covers like them white robe brothers in the hood, and I wish they could see Master's great-great-granddaughter whipped and chained, and it's a rough ride to freedom, and what's my name? Eyes like the antebellum Atlantic, blue and saturated with blackness as she gazes up from her knees, please. Can I breathe? Submissive and subservient as they wanted us to be, but we keep on and we keep strong even when that road gets long and black and hard. And like Martin, I too shall overcome. I am Bull Connor, drowning, unloading gallons, spraying down in the name of peace. Girl, this ain't no love thing. I just needed a piece. That's another lifetime when I was a little more confused. Hadn't looked at it in like 3 years. I don't want any comments. Actually, I'll take comments, feedback, or whatever. I would prefer, if you thought the poem was cool, I would prefer hit the donate button so I can get my MacBook Pro, and then I could do more shows, and maybe we'll have another share day where I'll do another poem at some point, because this was number 2 in a series of poems that were all about this topic.
Wow. Let's provide clarity to when I hear you say that if you would have went down that road of engaging in sexual intercourse with white females, that you might not be where you are today. That helps.
For sure. Correct,
piece that
sir.
together, because I've never, I mean, I've experimented like Nero, but I've never, I don't know, I've never thought about it in such vivid detail, or even, you know, it never really reached a pedestal for me, and it sounds as if that poem would suggest. Sorry, you said you didn't want to hear comments. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. I said I changed my mind. I just didn't. I didn't really want to. Like I said, I'm not in the spoken word thing. I don't want to be regarded as a poet or any of that. No disrespect to anybody who writes poetry. That's not me anymore. Gus T Renegade, attempted counter racist. So I'm cool with comments. If you have feedback, no problem.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say that it seems like that's you know, like put them on a pedestal type of thing.
They are on a pedestal.
True.
They are on a pedestal.
In the context of white supremacy, true.
Yeah, the system puts them on the highest pedestal ever. And, you know, at least I know with me, I've been constantly, indoctrinated to believe that that's the best type. That's the ultimate woman.
Hello?
I'm here. I was going to say, too, Gus might be constructive. You know, if when you make poems, those poems are, about racism, white supremacy, or the code, or, anything like that, it could be constructive, if it draws people's attention to, what you're saying in the poem, if they can learn something from hearing it. You thought about that?
Recently I did think about that, but I think there are a lot of. I'm hearing the television, I think, or something in the background. Okay, good now. I did think about that recently, and I believe there are a significant number of like spoken word artists and poets who are talking about or around racism, white supremacy. But I think just that whole environment, I don't think is conducive to really like changing people's thought, speech, and action with regard to racism, white supremacy, because people are there and they have like objectives. They're trying to get published, or they're trying to, get somebody to the bedroom or whatever. Like, it's just that environment, the whole spoken word environment, at least from my observation, is not about let's change our conduct, change the way we think, speak, and act to adjust to being in a system of white supremacy. Although I'm sure it could be done, I just think the environment is such that it would be a real challenge. But I mean, you got people drinking oftentimes where you're doing these pieces and stuff. It's an environment where people are drinking and that sort of thing. So I think it'd be a real challenge, I think, although I'm sure it could be done.
Which is another thing I don't advise non-white people should do, is be drinking with white people. Don't have the chops for it. But yeah, you pegged me with that poem.
That sounds like a good suggestion, but can you tell us the reason why?
Yeah.
I think that was to Mr. Nero, the suggestion about the drinking. I think is that accurate, Dr. Mohammed?
I'm sorry. That was addressed to me. I have observed that white people can drink anybody under the table and still function normally. I have observed non-white people under the influence of alcohol completely lose a lot of their faculties as far as being able to function. And I'm not talking about driving a car. I'm just talking about how one carries themselves, things that they say and other things that they do besides, driving a vehicle. For further evidence, I've said on another broadcast, the Indians didn't stand a chance, trying to drink with white people. Didn't stand a chance at all. That white man can still get up and go to work the same day. Doesn't miss a beat. I've taken him to work after being out, almost all night drinking. When I pick up non-white people, however, from the bar, they are completely wasted. Don't know where they live. Can't find the keys to get in the door. I mean, they are a, as my friend would say, a hot mess. That is not the case when I pick up drunk white people. You're at a disadvantage. And they have you in a very vulnerable position now that you are drunk. If you're a non-white person, drinking alcohol, having drinks with white people, you are at a disadvantage. This is what I have observed.
White Privilege Conference. Cognac Club.
Cognac Club, that's right. Cognac Club. And everybody gets loose and touchy-feely once a few drinks get in them.
Yeah, I agree with that, Mr. Nero. I think it's because the context for white people don't change, whether they're drunk or sober. But for black people, they suppress so much of they're suppressing a lot daily, so when they get drunk, their whole context changes. All these emotions come out, and they don't know how to really, deal with them and whatnot. That's what I've definitely observed that. You know, you can take somebody that's pretty, you know, cool, that you think that's pretty solid as far as their personality or whatever, and they get drunk and then they become very angry or just, you know, just wild. And I think the context. I
have found it to be that when I've been around some white people who have had some drink.
Background noise, please. The background noise. Sorry about that, Dr. Muhammad.
Oh yeah, well, let me. I'll have to wait there. I'm gonna put it back on mute.
For anyone on the line that has offspring, what are some of the things that you try to teach or stress to your offspring?
I don't think anybody has offspring on that show, on the call.
Well, I have offspring, but I have not had an opportunity to speak with my offspring in regards to racism and white supremacy, or anything for that matter, as of lately.
I would stress education, just reading and yeah, I think because for myself, that's what saved me in this gauntlet where a lot of my friends ended up in prison and some of them got killed and whatnot. I think it was the fact that my mom had me reading a lot, and so I was able to basically assess situations quicker to make decisions whether I was in danger or this was good for me, good spot, or a dangerous spot. Where my friends, they really didn't have, they couldn't assess situations, so they would get in a lot of trouble. You know, like where I would leave and I would hear that 20 minutes after I left the party or whatever that there was a shooting or something. I could see. But I think it was because of the studies that the studies that I have been engaged in, that I was able to assess the situation and get out of there.
I was going to say in response to the question that was asked, and I'm not sure if Gus would be willing to ask this question, but I'm wondering if you would be able to get Justice's parents on the show and do a show with them.
I can ask. That would be interesting. I can ask. That would be interesting.
I mean, she seems to be a great model for how non-white children are being taught about the system of racism and white supremacy. And I think all parents could probably learn a thing or two from them. Gus, have you heard from 720?
Not in a little bit. Trying to think. He called a show, but that was a couple months back. I have to look at my email log. Yeah, it's been a little bit of time. But I know his area. I have a map so I can see where people listen to the program from, and his area is still lighting very strong. So I suspect he's still listening. 720. Thank you, sir. Yeah, been a minute though. Been a minute.
Yeah, it's always good to hear from him.
Yes, indeed, he was there from the beginning, pretty much. Way back last year, he was on the broadcast with the female victims. He called in at the end to ask a question or two. Yeah. Yes, I'm curious. I did have that question. Why do you all think? Because I mean, it's a huge disparity at this point. If you go back and you listen to that broadcast, that was in July of 2009. If you listen to the broadcast with the female victims, and then listen to this broadcast, the amount of time that the males have spent talking about sex with white people, white women specifically. I mean, whoa, it's huge. I think I'm sure they did not spend 20 minutes talking about having sex with white guys. Why do you think that discrepancy is there?
Oh, I think if black males are honest with themselves, the white woman is the first female, ultimately, that I think we see in a sexual way in the first place, whether it be television, a magazine, a billboard off the freeway, a postcard, a stamp. I mean, she is the first image of beauty that we get.
Are you talking about in life?
In a sexualized way, because you're not looking at your mother and your sister in a sexualized way. You know, you're not looking at your family members that way. But when that white female comes across the screen or the magazine or however you picking those images up, because you're getting bombarded with it. You know, I mean, I just touched on just a few of the areas. You know, Dr. Welsing, you know, she touched on it the other day when she said, turn on the television and just start flipping through the channels. What do you see? White woman after white woman after white woman after white man after white man. I mean, that's who you're seeing constantly. Even that white female you see on a news broadcast, she too has been, you know, glammed up. She speaks well. They typically do not put flat-chested women in front of their television either. So that's another thing that catches your eyes usually is boobs. So I mean, I think we need to be honest. You know, we all look at her and go, wow, I want that. I want what I'm told I shouldn't have. I want what's been put up on the pedestal. I mean, from an ego perspective. You know what I mean? But like other intrusive thoughts, that thought needs to be combated. The behavior avoided. And I'm in total agreement with Mr. Fuller on if you don't have no contact, you can't have no conflict. You don't get into trouble with white women if you don't position yourself. Because that's the mantra I follow. I'm not even going to position myself. And then I ain't got to worry about dealing with her touching me or trying to, lure me or say something that I may want to respond to. I have said before on this show, don't find yourself alone in a room with one. Avoid that situation. It's hard enough as a man. I don't believe too many men, period, can deny or fight off the sexual advances of a female. It's just pretty hard to do, period. No matter who a woman is. If she really wants you, she can break you down. If you're really going to be honest with yourself. Your ego not going to let you pick up the phone usually and dial 911 and say, come get this woman off of me. This woman is making sexual advances towards me. She's touched me and she's putting her hands in between my legs. How many of us would dial 911 and ask the cops to come get her?
She's white. I'm dialing somebody. If she's white, I gotta get out of there.
So my point is, you don't put yourself in position to screw up, and you can't screw up.
I think what Dr. Welsing said about this conversation as far as sex goes, I would agree with what she said. It's one of them conversations that people like to have. She said it was basically it's just one of those easy conversations. People like to have them. It's I guess she said, I don't know exactly how she put it, but titillating in the whole nine. That's why. Because I would say that that's the reason why I was actually surprised that or interested, and it was curious. I didn't know exactly how the conversation was going to go, but it was. I was going to say Gus said actually. It's like I was surprised. Or had anybody had any thoughts on, or were they surprised at the conversation how it turned out? But yeah, I would say it's because it's one of those hot topics.
Do you think? Does anyone think the I guess amount of time spent in a conversation with non-white males talking about white females or sex with them or whatever, do you think that that amount of time, I guess, would be more or less when the males discussing it are more informed about white supremacy? Do you think that impacts the amount of time on that subject?
Yeah, you said the amount of understanding as far as racism, white supremacy.
Right, meaning that I guess I'm kind of inclined to think that the more informed a male victim is, then I suppose that discussing sex with white people is it seems as if it would be a shorter conversation. But
yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
I agree with that too. I agree with that. I wanted to say too to answer in my response to Gus's question too, and I agree with. I think his brother's name is Miro. Is that
yeah.
He was just commenting that it was coming. Yeah, I totally agree on that with what you were saying about us being a lot more open to speak about it. I have observed non-white females be more low key in the contact that they've had with white men. I'm not saying that for all non-white females, of course, but the ones that I have seen that have interacted with white men, they're usually pretty secretive about it. It doesn't seem like it's a topic like it could be too that they were on air, and I don't know, it doesn't seem like it would be a topic that some females would feel comfortable enough to talk about out in the open. Although, of course, I'm not a female, so I'm just speaking from what appears to be an observation. But I think it is constructive for us to talk or have this discussion because it. I know for putting it out in the open and talking about it, it helps me reflect. And it actually is a part of, I think, this detoxification type thing. It helps me reflect more, and then I can think about deniggerizing myself, so to speak, from, detaching myself from the different images and things that I've been bombarded with that have made me, that have led me to my belly warming in the first place. And I wanted to comment earlier. I couldn't because I had a lot of background noise. But I wanted to say that from my observation from drinking with white people, I have noticed that some white people, if you don't take any drinks, but if they've had a lot of drinks, there's been some white people that I've learned the truth about how they thought about me, because they were pretty drunk, and sometimes that makes them loosen up and be comfortable enough to say things that they wouldn't say. And then another thing on that drinking note, I just wanted to say too, I have observed there some racist suspects have made it appear like they're drinking a lot of alcohol, but they're not. And the non-white person that they're sitting down with is. I've seen that before. I've even seen where, the racist suspect will go to the bartender and have the bartender give them a drink. They'll have a glass, and it'll be like something like some club soda or something in it, and add like a olive to it, and then the other person, when the other drink actually is some vodka with an olive in it, and they're handing that vodka with the olive in it to the individual that's doing the drinking, all the while they're just sipping on a club soda. But the individual they're sitting down with is thinking that they're drinking alcohol.
Yeah, I've observed similar things to what you just mentioned. I actually had an experience working security at a bar with another black male, a nightclub / bar. And long story short, a white person who I very strongly suspect was an enforcement agent. I mean, this white person did say he was an ass. He feigned that he was drunk when in actuality he wasn't, trying to get myself and the other black male to have a physical conflict with him. And he eventually pulled a gun on us and started stating, he's going to shoot us in the head, nigger, so forth, so forth. But leading up to this, he is saying that he was drunk. So he was faking that he couldn't walk straight, slurring his speech. But when he pulls his gun out, this person could function, like no question about it. And he definitely wasn't intoxicated to the level he was trying to play out. And Gus, regarding why we spend so much time on sex, I'm not certain. I do think what the other victims shared is constructive. Also, the email sent out, you requested we talk about two things, which was our experiences with white chicks and also how we deal with other black males. And I don't think we really touched on dealing with other black males and the cows, but we have spent a huge chunk talking about white females and sex in the context of white supremacy.
Oh, this is a tidbit too. This is a suggestion that may help for detoxification too. I picked this up. Shout out Back of the Bus. When I see those situations, tragic arrangements, I say danger, danger. I say I utter that. Either I'll say it. Maybe loud enough for me to hear it, or whoever's with me to hear it, and that's like a little mental note to help me to keep in mind what I'm looking at.
Back of the bus?
Yes, sir.
In response to your second part, as for how we interact with black males, unfortunately, I have found that it is still best to limit the contact that I have with black males, and that even includes my own father, because I can't help but talk about the system of racism and white supremacy. You know, there's no way I can have a conversation with someone for very long where it just doesn't come up. So I know that even in my dealings with my father, that you know, I have to you know, keep those conversations to a minimum if we're not discussing something else of constructive value. So until I have a codified way of dealing with black males that gets me the kind of positive results, I will have to continue to just minimize the contact.
Is anybody? Hello? Hello, can I be heard?
Yes, you can.
Does anybody have a code for dealing with, especially black women, when it comes to talking about white supremacy and how not to upset them and make it into a problem? That's one of the things I've run into, that it's that just like you said, you have to avoid speaking to your father. I found that I have to avoid speaking to most black women about this, even the one I'm with now. Have any of you experienced that?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sir, I thought I actually addressed this earlier. I think it's just par for the course. And I'll be brief, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, you did mention it earlier, and it was pretty much that's the way it is, and if I understood you right, that's the way it is, and there's nothing you can really do. Is that what you said, basically?
Well, I didn't say there was nothing you can do. I mean, you can continue yourself to try to counter racism and fight against the system as best as you possibly can. And, you know, as Dr. Bobby Wright says, you know, we have a right to have sick people. And those that are confused about the system, that is a form of mental illness, isn't it?
Yes.
Albeit a subtle form, but I mean, it's a form of mental illness. Now, I may be incorrect about that, but that seems accurate in my estimation, especially when you get into the conversation with the, you know, your partner.
Mm-hmm.
It usually leads to an argument, doesn't it?
Yes, right. And the challenge is trying to do it without causing a conflict. And usually, the best way to do it is just not bring it up at all. Because once you start getting into a conflict, it's no longer constructive, and you are cooperating with the system, because it depends on non-white people having conflict with each other.
Well, what I do is I try to get them to talk about it instead of me making statements, because basically they're talking about racism, white supremacy. Yeah, they're talking about it whether they know it or not. So, you know, that's where education comes in. Is you know what they're talking about. They might not have identified it as racism, white supremacy. So what I do is just ask questions, you know, who, what, where, why, and try to get them to realize what's the cause. You got to go, you know, you just go deeper and deeper and ask more questions, and then the cause. But you have to have some understanding of the subject to I guess, to do that. But they're talking about racism, white supremacy all the time. That's what people are talking about, whether they know it or not, in all areas of activity.
And I do agree with what you just said, but it seems when you, as a black man, bring it up, it can really generate some problems. My girlfriend, yes, my girlfriend is on it's a hair care forum that she goes on, and they talk about stuff, and it gets into a lot of racism, white supremacy, but lots of times it'll focus on things that we do, like colorism, or they'll start talking about some girl. One situation I had is they were talking about a video model, Bria Miles, and they were basically saying that, low-class men like girls that are built like that. And I kind of took, offense to that. Like, are you saying that a woman with an African body is, if you like that's low class? And some of the women were saying that. And when you try to tell them that, you're actually dogging yourself by saying something like that, you may get a really bad reaction. She understood what I was saying, but, I've been working on it for a while. At first, it was really difficult to even talk about stuff like that.
Well, you got breast men, you got men that like bottoms or big hips and stuff like that. And there are studies that show that certain men like certain parts of women's bodies. And whether that's a class thing or whatever, certain men like blue collar or whatever, they like, there's some data out there. You just have to know what people are studying and some of the conclusions they came up with, and whether you agree with it or not, but at least you'll have some information.
Yeah, I think if it was meant to be easy or a simple subject to discuss between black males and black females, or just non-white male and female partnerships, if racism and white supremacy was an easy subject to discuss, then we'd be looking at a totally different picture on the planet, I'd imagine. I think it's designed to be a difficult thing to discuss between partners.
Right, it's a challenge, and I like what Neely Fuller said about being a dive bomber. It's like he said that they dove into enemy territory and they were surrounded by the enemy, and basically that's where they wanted to be. So when you start talking about problems and stuff like that, it's like, well, this is where you want, either you want to be there or you don't. You want to be a problem solver or you don't, So, yeah, exactly. It's not easy, and it's not supposed to be easy. You're trying to solve problems, and there are a lot of them. So you have to educate yourself.
I guess that makes sense.
I think you got to choose those battles wisely. If she's not ready to discuss it, I think you got to make a decision whether you stay in the relationship or not. That's something ultimately that I ended up doing with a female that I couldn't share the information about. She really didn't want to hear it. And for me, the straw that broke the camel's back was, we were at a party, and there was a white man at the party who had liposuction done, and he had lost a lot of weight. And so I'm meeting him for the first time after he lost all the weight. And when he shared with me how much he weighed, I said, oh, wow. He said he was like 350 or something. I said, wow, that was pretty heavy. And black female chimed in that, oh, but you carried it well. She said he carried the weight well. So my response to her was, I asked the question, well, how does one carry 350 pounds well? And I got attacked by her and my girlfriend, while the white male just sat back and let us go at it. And so I made my decision that night that this ain't going to work.
I remember Dr. Welton saying one time, I can't say her exact words, but someone had asked her a question that was similar, that led to a discussion that was similar to what we're talking about now. And her suggestion was to wait until the victim is mistreated. When the victim realizes that they've been mistreated, like every instance, or any time there's an instance where the non-white person experiences mistreatment by the system, that's the time to start talking about racism, white supremacy, as opposed to, because I have a habit, I try to ram it down my attempted wife's throat sometimes. I'm always talking about it. I'm seeing it on TV. I'm seeing it, all kinds of stuff played out. I'm always talking about it. But
and I bet that's one of her complaints. You talk about it too much.
Yep. Oh yeah, it is. Get the eye rolling and all of that.
See, that's gonna get turned back on you, in my opinion. That's gonna turn into, that's why you can't do X, Y, Z. That's why you don't do A, B, C. Because you always dealing with that.
Right.
Yeah, I know the dynamic, trust me.
That's right. Oh yeah, you're right. I've definitely experienced it before. But
right.
I mean,
So what ends up happening is, sir, you end up getting mistreated again, don't you?
Yep.
Right. That's why I say it's best not to bring it up.
Right. Well, what I do now is, like, if there's any kind of statements, and I try to, I don't respond to the statements for, if it's a statement that I want to know a question about, I'll ask a question about it, and I'll keep asking questions until she just doesn't want to discuss it anymore. She might make a comment, and I'll say, well, she said, oh, that's that white supremacy stuff again. I might say, well, what do you mean by that? And I say, well, what do you mean by that? Just keep on going until it gets to the point to where there's nothing else to be said. Oh, just forget it. It doesn't. I don't feel any mistreatment, and I don't even get emotional about it anymore. In the beginning, I did, but I mean, it's not even. I don't even look at it as an issue anymore. I think that it's always good, though. It's always constructive if whenever there is a point that you're talking about it. As long as you're talking about it. Like, I was surprised that she wanted to hear me on the radio show the other day when I got invited to the show, and she tried to call in to hear what I had to say. Like, so it may there may be some changes happening. Like,
well, let me share with everyone real briefly one of the best strategies I have found for discussing issues with non-white females.
Okay.
One of the best strategies I have discovered is, A, you don't bring it up at the moment it happens. That's the first thing. When you do discuss it, you discuss it in the car, on the freeway, doing 65 miles per hour while you're driving. Because this shuts down the flight or fight response. She can't run. She can't fight you either because you're driving. Now, you will get a lot of constructive information out of that talk right there on the freeway, doing 65 miles per hour. She cannot hit you, and she can't run. And then you can ask all the questions you need to. I'm done, Gus.
I was just going to pitch in. We have about 6 minutes left in the broadcast. I'm just making sure I don't get cut off today, so this will be my final word. We have 2 programs today. Second one is at 2 a.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. Central, 11 p.m. Pacific. Gayness, Boondocks, 2 consecutive weeks of very gay episodes. That's what we'll be focusing on this evening. Again, for folks, if you're on the West Coast, the show is coming on 30 minutes before tonight's episode airs. It should be online. If you can't find it, email me untiljustice@gmail.com, and I'll shoot you a link if you want to see it before the program. But, yeah, if you're on the West Coast, you shouldn't have a problem if you want to catch it online. Have enjoyed the dialogue immensely. Very constructive, I think. I think we accomplished the objective. Courteous, constructive, honest dialogue. We have 5 minutes, and, yeah, anything you all want to share in the last 5, take it away.
Gus, if you could please send me the link to the show, to the Boondocks, the one that you said would be available online.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would appreciate that, sir.
Yeah, send it to me too, Gus. This is 909.
Got you both. I'll send it to you. Should be available by like 9:30.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was a constructive show. I think it was very, very interesting. Very interesting. I think it's hard to have a non-constructive show. Actually, I mean, it's going to be interesting either way. Racism, white supremacy is I mean, you can see the different. I don't know. It's just going to be interesting regardless. So. Yeah.
Gus, have you read Games People Play by Eric Berne?
No, sir.
Okay, because you used one of the strategies from his book, and I thought maybe you had read his work. You're familiar with his work, but real briefly, in that book, Games People Play, he talks about the 3 egos of parent, child, and adult, and how people, cycle through each of these egos. And I saw you demonstrate I heard you demonstrate the parent ego in a conversation you were having once when a person said to you, I forget exactly which show it was, but they basically said, hey, that's not funny. And your response to him was, because you were laughing, but you stopped laughing immediately and said, well, I'm laughing, it was funny to me. And I thought at that moment, I said, wow, he just practiced one of the strategies in that book. That's why I thought you had read the book. Because he was correcting you. You remember that episode?
Vividly, yes.
Yeah, I figured your training.
I think that wasn't that a conversation with Tim? I think that was a conversation with Tim Wise, I think.
It was a recent program. If we get cut off here, if you all, anybody that's on the line, we can. I generally try to focus on the Boondocks, but if you all want to pick this back up later, that's fine. It was with Henry Macko, and I think somebody was saying something in reference to black people being pitiful, and I was snickering, and it was a non-white male said that they didn't think that was funny, and I still think it was funny what was said.
Right, and I thought that was the proper response because it cut it off at the knees. He responded as an adult, and so did you. You didn't, go into a child ego and say, oh, you're right, I shouldn't be laughing, and allow him to correct you. And I thought maybe you had read the book once I heard that segment. So for those of you who are not familiar with the book, it's called Games People Play by Eric Berne. It's a short book. It's pretty technical.